Hello, welcome. I'm going to take you through Who Anthro for personal computers. Who Anthro is also one of the nutritional analysis software that is widely used by nutritionists to carry out assessment of growth and development of children. And it was basically generated by the World Health Organization in 2010. This was used as an international reference for children growth and was discovered to be flawed by the WHO Working Group in around 1994. And this working group therefore recommended the development of a new international reference. And then in 2004, the MGRA started the development of the new WHO International Growth Reference. NCHS basically stands for the National Center for Health Statistics, and the MGRA stands for the Military Grid Reference System. This is basically used by the military powers in the United States, and it is started the development of the new WHO International Growth References. So WHO Anthro in 2005 had new anthropometric indices that were absent in the National Center for Health Statistics. So what is the purpose of WHO Anthro? WHO Anthro is required to derive the most common nutritional status indicators, and these include weight for age, height for age, weight for height, and BMI for age, and it is basically used for children less than 5 years of age. The additional attained growth indicators also can be analyzed using WHO Anthro. For example, the head circumference for age, the arm circumference for age, triceps and subscapular skin folds for age. The uses of WHO Anthro. This software program was developed by the World Health Organization, as I said earlier, and it's used to assess the nutritional status of individuals and populations. Basically designed to calculate the body mass index and other anthropometric measures, such as waist circumference and mid-upper arm circumference, based on the height, the weight, and the age of the individual. So you can use it both for the young children and for the adults. And it's also used to classify individuals as underweight, normal weight, overweight, or obese. You can also use it to identify potential risk factors for chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease using the indicators of BMI and waist circumference indicators. So this software is commonly also used in research studies and public health programs to assess the nutritional status of populations and identify groups that may be at risk of malnutrition and other health problems. The features of WHO Anthro and the National Center for Health Statistics. Most common features include the BMI for age, the head circumference for age, the arm circumference for age, triceps skin fold for age, then the subscapular skin fold for age, and the motor development milestones. We shall look further into this as we go along the lecture. Measurement indicators. Some of the indicators include the recumbent length. Recumbent length is basically used for children younger than 24 months and those children that are not able to stand on their own. So we put the height board, we lie it on the ground, and then we place the child vertically onto the scale so that we are able to take the height measurement. And then we have the standing height. This one is used for children 24 months and older. It must be specified either recumbent or standing when you're taking your weight measurement, your height measurement. And if it's not specified, the software will automatically convert height to length and length to height according to the age of the child. So you can see how good this software is. Similarly, if age is unknown and the type of measurement is also not specified, the software will assign standing or recumbent using the cutoff of 87 centimeters. A child that is less than 87 centimeters is going to be classified as under recumbent length, and the child greater than 87 centimeters will be under the standing length. The other measurements. The cutoff point of 87 centimeters reflects the standard median for boys and girls' height for HZ score at 24 months. This is the standard height at which you can identify whether the child is greater than 24 months or less than 24 months. The length and the height, it can be measured only in centimeters with a maximum of 2 decimals. Take the child's date of birth from a written record if it's available. Otherwise, you can record the child's date of birth and age on the day measured. If you do not know these parameters, you probe the caregiver to give the approximate date of birth based on local events calendars. Measurements of weight should be entered in kilograms with a maximum of 2 decimals. For example, 6.60 kilograms. Other critical precautions, you have to always indicate if the child has edema or not. A child that has edema will not give you accurate results. Always check the data to remove duplicates and outliers. The motor development milestones. In order to monitor the acquisition of these following 6 gross motor milestones, the 6 major growth motor development milestones include sitting without standing, standing with assistance, hands and knees crawling, walking with assistance, standing alone, and then walking alone. Those are the different stages that the child undergoes from the time they are born and then they start to develop these motor milestones. The ideal age range to assess the achievement of these motor milestones is always between 3 and 24 months. From 3 months, you can start seeing your child starting maybe to sit. And then after as the child grows, the child starts to stand without assistance. And then in that order, that continues to develop until they're able to walk on their own. In order to achieve a motor milestone, all the criteria for a given milestone need to be observed. So you have to probe the mother and caregiver to give you the accurate information. Types of assessments or modules in Anthro. This software allows for 2 major types of assessment. One is longitudinally via the individual assessment module. This one is generally conducted in the context of routine health visits. It can monitor the timing and the sequence milestone achievements by individual children. And then we also have the cross-sectionally via the nutritional survey module. The NS module permits an evaluation of a child's achievement status in only a single episode. The first one, you can use it for routine health visits. The second one is only for a single episode of assessment. Anthropometric measurements include the age, the weight, the edema status, does she have edema or no, and the length or her height, and the type of measurement. Is it recumbent or standing height? These are the basic variables. Also the head circumference for age, arm circumference for age, triceps and subscapular skin folds for age. The common indicators include the weight for age, the height for age, weight for height, and BMI for age. Then additional 10 growth can be ascertained using the head circumference for age, the arm circumference for age, triceps, and the subscapular skin folds for age. All these indicators are based on WHO standards, and they can be derived as long as the measurements are available. The growth references used in graphs. One, we have the Z-score classification system. The lines displayed are weight for age and the length or height for age. And they are in the order of -3 SD, -2 SD, then the median value, then +2 SD, and +3 SD. -3 SD indicates that the child is not okay at all. Then +3 SD indicates that the child is very fine. Then in the middle there, that's where you can assess moderate acute malnutrition or severe acute malnutrition. BMI for age, the head circumference for age, and then one for age. All these can be used to classify the Z-score. Triceps and subscapular skin fold for age, still it gives you the same SD variables. We also have the percentile classification system, and we have the following cutoff points displayed for all the indicators. We have the 3rd, the 50th percentile, the 85th percentile, and the 97th percentile. Anthropometric calculator, AC module. This module basically facilitates deriving nutritional status results from an individual child based on the WHO standards for the indicators of weight for age, length or height for age, weight for length or height, BMI for age, the head circumference for age, mid-upper arm circumference for age, and all these others up to BMI that is unrelated to age. The percentiles and Z-scores. Z-scores or the standard deviation, that's what the SDs that we've been talking about. This is the default classification system that is used to present child's nutritional status. Even out in the field when we are assessing the children's nutritional status, we basically measure the height, the weight, and the age, and from that we can be able to ascertain from the Z-score chart whether the child is normal, child is moderately acute malnourished, or the child is severely acute malnourished. So this classification system was recommended by WHO for its capability to describe nutritional status, including the extreme ends of the distribution, and also allows the derivation of summary statistics, for example, the means and SDs of the Z-scores. The percentiles are widely used in clinical settings. So this software also derives these different variables. And the percentiles are based on the exact Z-scores. It does not give you estimates. It gives you the exact values. So these are the full or NCHS reference standards. The lower SD is -6, the upper SD is +5. That is according to the WHO standard. Then for NCHS, the lower SD is also -6 and the upper SD is +6. That is for weight for age Z score. Then the weight, the height for age Z score, we have -6 and +6 for WHO standards. Then the NCHS standards, we have -6 and +6 alike. Then for weight, for height Z score, we have -5 and +5 extremes. And then for NCHS, we have -4 and +6. Then BMI for age Z score, -5 and +5. So you go ahead and look at this graph and analyze each of these different variables in context. Flags and error tracking, as we already looked at flagging. Flagging is the indication of errors or incorrect values. The lower and upper SD boundaries are the set flag limits for identifying extreme, potentially incorrect, or out of range values of set scores for each indicator using the WHO standards or that's NCHS. So any value that is greater than or less than the indicated extremes is an outlier and it is an incorrect value. So it is flagged with a color that will show you that this value is incorrect. Then you can be able to go ahead and correct it. So that's the beauty of these softwares. In SC and IA, black background color resulting Z score is beyond -3 and +3 SD. So that enables you to check the data entry errors. Then in the nutritional status module, any such Z score is flagged. The value cell highlighted is in pink, and the flag code appears in the column next to the results. This can help you to check if there is a data entry error, or else you can remeasure the child so that you can get accurate values. So because there are points where you incorrectly measure this child, maybe the child was irritable and crying and it will not take the height very well. So you have to check again so that you can obtain an accurate value. In the analysis of nutritional survey data, all flagged scores should be excluded. Anything that is flagged is not correct, and so you have to exclude it. So IA module, individual assessment. This one enables collection and saving of longitudinal data for children who are repeatedly examined from birth to 5 years of age. So for example, in the context of emergency nutrition assessment where the children come periodically, maybe weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, depending on when, maybe during outreaches or maybe during weekly visits. So you have to keep taking this data, and that explains the longitudinal data analysis and comprises both the anthropometry and the motor development data. This graphical display in this module offers the views of single or multiple visits. So IA is particularly useful for pediatricians who want to monitor the growth of the children attending their clinics or for researchers gathering longitudinal data. What are some functions of IA? Manage additional data. This is one of the functions that facilitates collection of extra data. For example, infections, vaccination status, micronutrient deficiencies, receiving food aid, and all the rest. It is used to define new sections and then variables within that section. First, you have to define the relevant additional data before starting the data collection. Options for selecting either WHO standards or the NCHS reference. This change applies only to the currently open child, and the WHO standards are the default other children. For changing from the default setting of automatic ID attribution to manual, change remains until changed again by the user. Nutritional survey module. This one facilitates collecting new nutritional and motor development data based on a sample of children, one record per child. It allows editing of the existing surveys and derives and displays individual results using Z scores and percentiles based on the WHO standards or the NCHS references. This module also produces standardized summary results for anthropometry and for assessments, allows importing of survey data files in REC, DBF, WNS, that is WHO Anthro 2005 beta version, TXT, CSV, or XML formats. Exporting survey data files is also possible in TXT, CSV, or XML formats. What are some of the features of NS and why are they so different from IA? Child can only have one assessment of growth and development. The motor milestone assessment has the option to collect reported as achieved milestones in addition to assessed and observed. So there are those milestones that you can look at and observe, but there are those that the mother or the caregiver will tell you that this child has achieved this milestone. So those options are also provided. The user can record data on cluster, household, and team level. Then we also have survey options that allow change of the flag limits, change of the age groupings for the summary reports, and manipulation of the address reference data. The results. WHO Anthro nutritional survey module can produce results and reports using the WHO standards, that's the default. And then you can also change to NCHS reference. The results tab window can be opened when a survey has at least 12 records, and it allows the user to visually check the distribution of the survey data for outliers. The first graph shows how close the surveyed population's weight for length or height z-score is to the normal distribution. And from the drop-down menu, the user can select other indicators and further graphical overviews, for example, by sex, by cluster, or by age, or any other indicator that you'd like to use. Analysis and report options. The user can choose several analysis report options. She can select them either from the menu, current survey, or by clicking on the respective icons. And some of the options include anthropometry report. That option allows you to generate a report of the anthropometric indicators. It will first specify if a correction for clustering needs to be applied in case of a cluster sample design. And secondly, can select between standard and restricted analysis. So both options produce outputs showing prevalence by age groups and totals. These can be stratified by age and by cluster if applicable for the common cutoffs with means and SDs of z-scores and then 95% confidence levels. The age stratified results follow the age grouping defined in the options. In the options, you can be able to define the age groups according to what you desire. The standard analysis makes maximum use of the collected data and includes for each indicator all the valid z-scores and not just records with a flag that is equal to 0. Good data analysis practice. If a data file contains many variables, import only the relevant data variables needed for deriving the z-scores. You don't have to bring in everything at once. You can just import the ones that you need to work on at that moment. And then you export the data back and merge with the original file. You can also check the survey data set before running analysis for flags due to data entry errors, accidentally duplicated data entry, digit preferences, and age heaping. When only age in months is available, then you have to also adjust accordingly. You have to check the data quality. The standard deviation obtained in the resulting table is another indicator for the data quality. You have to include in the final survey report any findings that indicate data quality problems and challenges. Always keep a copy of the original raw data as a backup so that you can be able to explain your results. Importing data. It is also possible to import data in DBF, RIC, that is info, WNS, that is Anthro 2005, CSV, TXT, and XML formats. The CSV and TXT files need to use semicolons as the separators. And when reporting or importing existing survey data, the user has to select the data files from the folder where it is located. The variables imported in data sets with names such as weight for age z-score, height for age z-score, and the rest are based on NCHS reference. These ones should be renamed before import to avoid confusion with the standards already present in WHO reference. The files produced with the Anthro 2005 beta version format and those imported from other Anthro versions can be imported directly. They have no challenge. All the basic variables needed for the Anthro analysis have to be matched with the variable fields in the original file. Data export. Ambiguous field names are prefixed with the type of the object they belong to. For example, if you're looking at a survey, you have to specify. In the absence of this prefix, the fields are assumed to belong to the object represented by the lines in the file. That's the report. So the flag column is not retained in the exported file. So the user has to redefine and apply any flag limits that are required for further analysis. The codes for sex in the exported file are female for 0 and male for 1. Anthro generates several variables in exported files. For example, the date of birth is approximate, which is placed in a column next to DOB, that is date of birth. The additional variables are exported in separate columns and are thus available for further analysis. Each line, except the first in a TXT or CSV file, represents one survey record, including all the data that is corresponding to the survey. So basically, that is what we have for Who Anthro. Thank you for listening in. Have a blessed time.